I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Charles, thank you very much.
Dead giveaway.
Thank you very much for your time. And
either she homeless or she got problems. That's the only reason why she run to a black man.
Charles, thank you for being there.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, and how are you? Hello, and how are you? Hey, my name's Podrey, and I'm here with this video about a person's son. When I say a person's son, what I mean is, like, back in the day, they used to say that it takes a village to raise a child. And I think when it comes down to boys, you know, it takes a different touch. It takes a certain touch. People tend to give their sons a little bit more space than what they would give their daughters. Now, I want to say this right off the bat. Not all children are planned to be here. You know what I'm saying? As far as man and woman getting their shit together, then they got their shit together, or they have their shit together, and then they plan on having children. In majority of all cases of life, children are just conceived out of emotions and selfishness, out of I don't know, I want to say the word ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Fucking what's that one saying? Young, dumb, and full of cum. But it's like, I think that a son should have everything that he could possibly have to be the best man that he could possibly be. It's like right here. I'm watching this movie called A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich, a 1978 movie. And like right here, it says start where you are with what you have. Make something of it. Never be satisfied. Alright? Now that would have been a cool plaque to have in the house whenever I was growing up. I had this plaque. I would say my parent had a plaque called, it said, you have to make your own sunshine. Well, our plaque was broke. A part of it was broke, like a corner of it. And I was still learning how to read at this time. So I always thought it said, you gotta make your own, you gotta make your own son's mind. That's what I thought it was. You know, because the H looked like an M. So I thought that was the reason why my parent was so strict. Man, I used to get whoopings for a lot of reasons. And it was cray-cray, man. So anyway, when I think about my childhood and the way that I see how life has become for me, I've always sat back and told myself that if I was going to have any children, I was going to make sure that I was emotionally stable, financially stable, and that my woman was going to be emotionally stable, financially stable, we will be basically pretty equal, very like-minded, and we would have planned to have our children. I wanted that. That was my fantasy. You know, back then, I thought that a man was a man whenever he had a car note, house note, and was raising a family. But see, now that I look back, I'm saying, man, that's so this is bullshit. Because I could have been a lot more in life. But I was limited to just the idea of having a car note, house note, and taking care of somebody and their kids and some kids. And my motivation was just that was it. I wanted to be a family man when I was younger. That's all I wanted to be. I was going to work any job that I needed to work to make sure that I got the bills paid and, you know what I'm saying, make sure my family was good. Now, as far as me being a child, being a son, there was a lot of things that I wish that I had that I didn't have. So when I think about raising a kid, raising a son, I think about things like, it's good to have motivation around the house, because when you give a boy too much space, he sees the world from an innocent but ignorant point of view, but he sees shit really as it is most times, and he's going to want to experiment with different things. He's going to want to fit in, so I have to deal with peer pressure. And so I just sit back and I'm like, yo, man, if there was a family unit that was strong, then I would have had more options, because I would have had more ideas, you know, being thrown at me about stuff. I would have heard, you know, positive arguments based off of, you know, like what I could do, what I could be doing, or whatever. As far as the whole villages raising children, I didn't have grandparents in my life. They were around. I mean, they were somewhere, but they wasn't around. So I think when you're having a son, keeping the roots around is important. I think that even when a child is at school, I think that in most cases he's going to want some type of inspiration, and most times he looks for that inspiration from wherever he can see it, wherever he can feel it. Now, if it's a single woman and she got a bunch of men, then it's like, yo, how's he supposed to really get an understanding of that? You know what I'm saying? Everything that she's telling him not to want, she's being it. So she's being a hypocrite. She's contradicting every damn thing. Now, if she only had one guy that she was trying to make it through life with, that's a whole different outlook. You know what I'm saying? The main thing that boy is going to be upset about is that his own daddy ain't in his life. Second thing that he's going to be upset about is that the man that is in his life, you know, he can't get too close, because whenever he wants to, he's going to up and leave. So it's a big responsibility when you're raising a child. If that child can't get what he's wanting at home, then he finds it in other places. hopefully it would be at school. Teachers are great motivators and inspirational people. You know, they actually go to work to help, give service to the community by educating the children of the community. Excuse me. My throat gets itchy whenever I'm trying to talk loud. See, back in the day, we had teachers that were down for the cause, that was down for our culture, and they spread the word. Not everybody got the chance to have one of those teachers, but I think a son would excel a whole lot more if he had a mentor in his life that was of his culture and that stayed on him and that actually gave a damn. I think that son, that child would sit back and start seeing that he could be more than just what he's wanting to be in life. He could be more than just what his parents is wanting him to be in life. He'll see options, a whole lot of options. Motivation and inspiration comes from a lot of different places. I can remember being in class and being a class clown. And I can remember, you know, as I look around, everybody else's heads is down, you know what I'm saying, doing their work, but I'm looking around, daydreaming, you know what I'm saying, checking out the females or whatever. You know, and sometimes I wished that I would stay focused like these other kids, because they was getting the good grades, they wasn't getting in trouble like I was, and then boom, I look up and the teacher's looking at me and I'm in trouble. Then I'm in trouble again for daydreaming, fucking off. And me, I had a mouth. It's one of those things where I couldn't talk at home. I was in a place where a child should be seen and not heard. So whenever I got to school, that's where I let my voice be heard. And that wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a good thing at all. And so it's like, whenever you're raising your sons, you got to make sure that they're nurtured. You got to make sure you pay attention to who they hang around. You know, your son is going to be attracted to like-minded kids. They're going to have something in common. That's just the way kids are. Now, sometimes they might come across a real true blue kind of a kid that, you know what I'm saying, that they can hang out with. They might get into some trouble with, but the majority of the time, they're keeping themselves out of trouble. But it's a 50-50 thing. It's not a guarantee to that. So you gotta constantly watch out to what your boy is doing, what he's saying, how he's saying it, where he's getting the information, and his friends. Or his friend, singular. There's a lot of times where when you don't see that friend of his around him, you know, and they had some type of beef with each other, you got to really pay attention to that. And you got to question those things. You got to question your son about those things. You got to figure out, why in the hell did your friend, your ace boot cool, something like that, something like that, you know what I'm saying? Why is your friend not around you no more? Why'd y'all have a beef? Because you never know. He, your son, could have been doing something stupid that his friend didn't want to be around no more. Or vice versa. So you got to find out those things. You really got to pay attention. Now see, when it comes down to parents who don't plan to have kids, they just have them, they don't have the mentality to sit back and really talk to their kids and allow their kids to talk, to feel comfortable, to trust their parent, to listen. Because if they can't get it at home, they're going to get it out there in the streets. And parents don't have the patience for it. They wake up, make sure their kid is fed, make sure their kid is out, going to school. They got to go to work. Then they got to think about what the hell they're going to cook for dinner. They got to think about whether their kid is acting right or not. So they got to be ready to hear anything by the time they get home. You know what I'm saying? They got to be ready to push that parent button. What I mean by parent button is when they're at work, they're at work. But that parent button, you know what I'm saying, is the button that they got to push, to turn into the person that's really, really, really going to put that foot in that kid's ass or give that hug when that kid is deserving it. It's a switch that, you know what I'm saying, it's like a parent doesn't turn off the switch, but it's a few buttons that they got to push in order to make them ready, for anything at any time. Because sometimes they be slacking, they be slipping. They be with their friends and they be, on some selfish time, some me time. You know what I'm saying? Even though the kids is there or around, it's in the mind, but out of sight, out of mind, if you understand that. So it's like, when you have patience to sit down with that boy and you listen to all the good things and the bad things, then you sit back and you start figuring out the way that your son thinks and where he's coming from and where he might be going or trying to get to. And when it comes down to your son's education and his mentors, the people that he might call a hero or get his inspiration from, you got to keep them in your mind as well, because you never know who they might be in their own personal lives. They could be hypocrites. They can contradict life. They'd be lying to your kid. So you got to be careful about that too. When they're with other parents or when they're with other, with their peers, other teachers, other people from the street, what are they like? So it's real important to research the people that are around your kid, because it's dangerous out there. It's real dangerous out there. Now, a lot of times, there's a lot of things that you want to say to your kid that you just can't. You want to, but you don't want to push too much, and yet you don't want to be too soft. You know what I'm saying? There's some parents that don't have no filter. And in some cases, it's okay. But majority of the cases, I think there should be a filter. I think it's a psychological match, a game. You know what I'm saying? You gotta outthink your child. They only a child. It's like with me. Whenever I had stepkids in my life, whenever I was dealing with females who had kids, I was like, man, I would tell them, man, I was once your age. I did the shit that you did. The things that you hear me saying, I heard people saying it to me. I don't know what you're going to go out and do tomorrow, but I know that what you just did was something that I did. And I remember what I was feeling and what I was thinking. So come and talk to me about something. And that's the thing. A lot of us, we bury our childhood. We bury it. We bury the pain. We barely remember the good times. Once we grow up, we lose imagination. And when we're dealing with our kids, especially these boys, we don't think outside the box a lot of times. We just think about what we want to do with them. We just think about the things that we want to do with our sons. We think about where we want our child to go. Even though our child are little individuals, that are going to be their own adult one day. You know what I'm saying? We treat them in different ways. You know what I'm saying? Like we want them to be what we want them to be. And sometimes that don't help. Especially when you got a strong-minded son. When you got a strong-minded son, he's going to go out and he's going to meet little conniving friends that's going to sucker him into doing stuff. But yet, that strong mind of his is going to get absent-minded. He's going to put his guard down whenever he sees somebody smiling at him, whether it be a kid or an adult. You know what I'm saying? It's like, when they don't get that at home, they think whenever it's out there in the street that it's all good. It's exactly what they're needing. And it's not right. It's not good. It ain't healthy. It's like I say, as a parent, you got to do your research about your kid. That's why when they say it take a village to raise a kid, you know what I'm saying? When it comes down to your son, man, it's like everybody on the block should be on the lookout for your kid, for your boy, to make sure that he ain't out there just fucking off. You know what I'm saying? I think a parent should make it their business to have a few friends on that block. Basically, if you live in the middle, have a friend on that end of the block, have another friend on the other end of the block. So if something is going down, there's going to be eyes on your son. There's going to be eyes on your child, period. If you stay on one end of the block, make sure you got a friend that's on the other end of the block and somewhere in the middle. And a friend that's somewhere in the middle. You may not like them and all that shit, but it's better to have somebody that's looking out for your child. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you can't see what they're doing, than not to have anybody looking out for your child. Your child may not even know it until, you know, it just pops up either at the wrong time or sometimes maybe even at the good times. You know what I'm saying? When the parent is like, boy, I got eyes all over the place. Like, yeah, right, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then when they get home and they find out that their parent know that they fucked up somewhere out there, they're like, how did you know? It's like, boy, I told you I got eyes on you all over the place. In this movie here, this boy gets hooked up with a heroin pusher. And he gets hooked on drugs. Now, your child may have other addictions that they're going to sit back and be weak about. They're going to want to be curious about it, and which leads to a harmful addiction. Anything you can't say no to is pretty bad, man. It's pretty bad to have in your life. It's pretty bad to have something in control of your well-being, your livelihood. You should be in control of your own livelihood. You know what I'm saying? It's good to have desires and wants. It's good to have things that, you know what I'm saying, that you enjoy. But you got to be in control of them. And your child got to be the same way. You know what I'm saying? Can't allow them to get out there and get addicted to too much shit. When they get addicted to shit and it's out of your hands, you can no longer control your child, then you got to go and be a parent that cares so much that they're willing to ask for help. And when it comes down to your son, the earlier you make sure that your son, the earlier in your child's life that you tap into their chemistry, tap into their desires, the earlier in their life, the better off they might be. I said might be. Like I said, there's some strong-headed boys out there, strong-headed children out there that, you know what I'm saying, no matter what you do, they're going to be their own person, and whether it's a good thing or whether it's a bad thing. But you got to be the person, you got to be that parent that's willing to get your son the help that he needs. he ain't gonna like it. He ain't gonna understand tough love. He knows about getting a butt whooping. He knows about being on punishment. He knows about losing a toy or something like that because you said, no, you can't have this. He knows about that tough love, but he don't understand and he don't know about the tough love of being a parent and watching your child in somebody else's care, because you can no longer give your child what they need to be on the right path. He don't know what that feeling is like. He don't know because he's a child. He'll probably figure out later in life if he have children, but at this time in his life, he don't know. He probably seen other people go through it, but it didn't click. You know what I'm saying? This thing about it could happen to me, yeah, it don't click until you go through it. And he ain't gonna like it. But you gotta be a parent that's willing to do that. You gotta make sure that he knows that what he's doing can be fixed if he takes responsibility for it. Because he's the only person that can make a change. He's got to know this. I know as a parent, we stay in our kids' ears all the time. But obviously, if they're not getting the picture, they're not accepting what you're saying. And it don't matter how much we whoop their ass, or we yell, or we talk, or we put them in timeout. It's something in their life that they're not accepting what we're saying. They're not letting go of the bullshit in order to grow. I think it's usually something that comes from a pain, some type of pain in their life. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was hurt by a person, you know, in an emotional way or a physical way or something like that. You know, it's like a kid isn't just bad for no reason. It seems. Because just about every story that I've heard about somebody who did something wrong, they have been wronged in their life. But you got that chance to end up having a child that just ain't wired right. So that's why you gotta really, really be a parent. You gotta be tough. But you gotta know when to press the right buttons to be the right parent for that child. And there's books out there. I know there is. But at the same time, they're really not going to give us all the right answers, because it takes experience to really find out some of the best things to do for our child. All we want to do is see our child be happy, see our child be successful. You know what I'm saying? That's what we want. That's what we desire. We're tough on our kids at times, and sometimes we're not tough enough. But we want to see our kid happy. Our job is to make sure that our kids become productive people in society, and that they understand the responsibilities that comes with that. So a lot of times, you know, being a tough parent is like, you know, your happiness is secondary in this episode right here. In this moment, your happiness is going to come afterwards. And that's why I say, you got to sit back, and if our child is going through something, we got to have the time to go through it with them so they don't feel alone. When a child feels alone, a child has a lot of emptiness there. There's a gap that needs to be filled. And like I say, I was a child that needed things. I wanted things. I desired things. I see things vicariously through other people, and I learned like that. But I had a lot of gaps where I was like, I wish I had it like this, or I wish I had it like that. Whenever I was going through things, majority of the time, my parent was the disciplinary parent. As far as them talking to me, it was more or less like they were talking at me. They were saying what they thought they needed to say. I didn't have a chance to speak my mind. Like I said earlier, I was raised in a place where a child should be seen and not heard. And it's crazy. I didn't have a moment to be as honest as I wanted to be. When it come down to anybody asking me anything, I always had to second guess myself because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. And majority of the time, I ended up saying the wrong thing. Even when I wanted, even when I was telling the truth, it wasn't what somebody wanted to hear. And it's like, if I had said this or said that differently, or it's one of those things where it's like, I knew I should have said it like this. I knew I should have said it like that. But instead, I ended up saying it like this, and here I am, in trouble. They think I'm lying. They think I'm on some bullshit. Now I'm in trouble again. And it's like, you just don't understand. Ma, Pop, you just don't understand. And they don't ask me to help them understand things. You know what I'm saying? Well, help me understand what the hell you trying to say. Things like that. The patience was gone, man. There's a lot of times where a family unit needs to be together, if you're going to really be together. Through the good times, through the bad times, and hopefully it's going to be more good times than bad. You got to be honest with each other. You got to be the type of parents that's like, man, I ain't got shit to hide. I ain't did shit. I ain't did shit. So what I got to lie for? What I got to hide something from my kid for? So when it comes down to being honest, if my kid ever calls me anything, it's going to be the right shit that I've been doing. Because I ain't did nothing wrong for them. And if they wrong, it's going to come from ignorance. You know what I'm saying? A child is going to daydream and wish and want things that they don't have, and wish and want things they think they need to have. And when it comes down to the judgment about what they think their parents is doing, they might get it wrong sometimes. They might use that word love in the wrong way. They might think of love in the wrong way. But when you sit down as a family unit, you get to show each other through action what a lot of words mean. A lot of description words. You get to show each other what that means. It's not just a vocal thing. It's a very important thing to be vocalized, but it's still a 50-50 chance that the message is going to get through or not. And like I say, if we want our kids to be happy, especially our son, there's a lot of things that we have to get straight. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that deal with our language, our body language. You know what I'm saying? Our the way that we talk to our child, talk to our sons. You know, the images that are in their life. You know what I'm saying? A parent that really, really pays attention to the music that our kids listen to. You know what I'm saying? They'll sit back and be like, no, you can't hear that. You're not in love with some girl, so what the fuck you listen to it for? You don't sell drugs. You ain't about that life. So what the fuck you listen to that music for? There's other music out there that you can listen to that's on your level. When it comes down to entertainment, you got to know that these people programming these TV shows are not looking out for the best interests of our kids. There are some, don't get me wrong, there are some, but it's very little bit, very, very little. It's like everything, damn near everything that's on the internet is for people who can understand and relate to the fuck is on the internet. And there's a small section for where kids can be safe at. So parents gotta pay attention to all that shit. Go to the library. It's the same way. There's only a small section that's really there for kids. All the rest of the shit is content for young adults to adults. But we want to see our kids happy. We want to see them be wise in their judgment and in their choices. You know what I'm saying? We want to make sure that they have self-discipline, self-confidence. You know what I'm saying? They know how to handle themselves whenever they're out there dealing with people. They got to know the truth about life. You see, I was told about the religion that comes from the Holy Bible. Bible. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. Bible. I don't know what the HOLLY would be. I ain't never really looked into that. But the Bible, you know what I'm saying, that's something that I heard, and you know what I'm saying, I pretty much accepted that, you know. Basic instructions. When you read it, you know what I'm saying, there's so many contradictions. You gotta question every damn thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I was always on the fence about it. Until I got into my 30s. And I finally let it go. It was like the fear factor of being honest with myself had me entangled with the bullshit of what religion is. The bullshit of what religion can be. And I was taught that by my parent. Now see, if my parent was wise, they would have known that they can't sit back and shove that down my throat like that without a whole bunch of education behind it. Now, my parent stopped forcing me to go to church at a young age, but they kept that whole God and Jesus thing in my life, and it was a fear factor. You know what I'm saying? It was something, you know, to keep me scared about doing this and doing that. It is crazy. It's real crazy. There's a lot of kids out there that die young because they don't have positivity in their lives, and they go out there in the streets looking for it. When it comes down to our sons, you know what I'm saying, they're supposed to be our rocks. You know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be something solid. You know what I'm saying? Mentally and emotionally. But when they are not as strong as they need to be, then they can be tossed around easily. They can be stepped on. They can be discarded. And it's wrong. It ain't right. There's nothing good about that. They are supposed to be our protectors. Supposed to be our social defense, our cultural defense, our warriors. No matter what level of the game that they are in, they're supposed to be strong enough to provide for the culture in a very positive way. They're supposed to give back every chance that they can. Even as a child. There's child millionaires or child thousandaires out there. There's kids out there that have businesses. There should be a lot more. But as a parent, they think, or we think, that there's so many limitations to the title of being a parent. And then we fuck up with our children. In so many ways, we drop the ball. Then we got to go to funerals, or we got to hear about somebody's kid, and it ain't cool. When your child is out there trying to find answers on their own, because we're not capable of giving them answers, and we're not pointing them in the right direction to get answers, they go out and they find it on their own. They find something similar to it on their own. And there's a strong chance that it's going to be incomplete. The family unit can help in that, but when a child is alone, the child is just alone. They're going to feel it, they're going to know it, and they ain't going to like it. So their experiences is going to come from an empty place. Once again, when our child comes home and we worried about them, we thinking they out there doing something dirty, we try to talk to them for a split second, knowing we don't want to hear what they got to say. We want to push our will on that boy, on our kids. We want to be the type of parent that's going to be a disciplinary parent, even though the worry in us is making us feel all kind of different emotions. And these emotions get all blocked up because it's kind of like a clogged artery. The pressure builds up. So we blurt out any type of word that we think is going to fix the situation, knowing that it takes two people to argue. It takes two people to communicate. So instead of listening to our child, we doing all the talking. And we're far, far from the truth of the situation or the matter at hand. And what is that child supposed to do? They're going to hold it in. They're going to hold it in. Or they're going to let it out. They're going to do one or the other. And we don't know which way that's going to be good or healthy for them. You know what I'm saying? I think it's good to let it out. But I think it's the way that they let it out that's important. If they talking shit right back at you, as though, you know what I'm saying, they growing or something in a disrespectful way, I think that need to be fixed. As a matter of fact, I think the parent need to fix the way that they talk to their kids. You know what I'm saying? I was the type of kid that I was like, I don't need to be cussed at, but I don't need to be pampered. So there's there's a little zone in the middle, a little gray area that we need to get to. We needed to get to that area. We never got there. I wish we did. We never got there. And then here it is, when a parent gets upset, they get frustrated, they get into a place where they don't want to be around their kid. They don't want to be around the situation. Then they go and they find their own addiction. Something that they wouldn't never fucked with or haven't fucked with in a long time. So this is their moment of weakness. And the parent is stuck in a position where their moment of weakness could cause another problem. Their child is at home. The problem is not fixed. I can understand taking a little breather, but if you're not there, how is that child supposed to come to you when they are feeling the most vulnerable or feeling the most comfortable to come and talk to you, and you ain't there? You're at a bar. You're out doing something that you shouldn't be doing. When I say shouldn't be doing, it's like, look, man, that child is next to be there. We either planned to have him there, or we was just doing our own thing, having sex, and the child got conceived. But it's our jobs, our duties, to be there for that child when that child needs us the most. We don't need to be out there in the streets. There's a lot of times where we leave our kids with folks who are afraid of our kids. And when I say afraid, there's an emotional thing going on between a child and the people that are watching them. That person who's watching your child will be like, I see your kid doing the shit that your kid is doing. I don't like it. Or they might be like, I don't like it. And I'm only doing this because I love you. If it was up to me, the little bastard would be doing this, blah, 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 blah. So we got to be careful with who we leave our kids with. Because if they ain't gonna help the situation, if they ain't being 100, then they ain't helping. You know what I'm saying? They ain't helping. Sitting up here looking at the clock, waiting for you to get back home. You know what I mean? That ain't good. That ain't healthy. It's like, yo, do your fucking job. Help me raise my child. We need to tag team on this child. I need to tap out for a minute. I'm feeling vulnerable. I can't do it right now. I'm at wit's end. I need to refuel a battery. Come in and give my child some words. You know what I'm saying? Some words of wisdom. Something that's going to help the situation. There's a lot of times when our kids is out there looking for help, and they're looking for help in all the wrong places. They're not confident, or they lost a lot of confidence that they once had. The inner strength has turned into something that is more of a tool, a device, or a gateway that's not healthy. It's not leading them in the right direction. It's not helping them be the strongest person they can be. And it comes down to a parent putting in that extra time, putting in overtime. You know what I'm saying? I've always had this way of thinking of, I gotta live life like if it's a job, and I want promotions. I want job promotions. I don't want to just be stuck in one department. I want to raise my level of importance to that company. I need to raise that bar. I need to go up higher and higher and higher. I need promotions. I need that for myself. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to being a parent, it's like the same thing. You got to get those promotions. You got to make sure that your son is getting everything that he needs, everything that he wants. As a parent, sometimes we got to get what we want too. So you got to be very flexible. You got to sit back and you got to plan a lot of shit. It's a thinking thing. We got to constantly be on our toes. We got to constantly press different buttons, hit different switches. But this is something that we learn before we have kids. We got to talk about these things. We got to go to classes for these things. We got to talk with people who got kids. We got to learn vicariously through other people. We got to plan to be the best that we can possibly be. And then that way, we can carry out the things we need to carry out to make that plan come true, to make that plan possible. We can't just be selfish. And when our kids are with their friends and things still ain't right, we got to figure out why it's not right. Because kids are supposed to have fun. Kids are supposed to be comfortable around kids. Kids go to other kids when they don't get along with parents, with adults. So if they're not getting along with other kids, then there's got to be a problem there. There's got to be a problem there. So that's why we got to keep on researching the kids that our kids are around. When it comes down to being patient, we got to remember that if we lose this battle, there's always going to be somebody else out there that's going to benefit from our downfall. They get paid to be in the position to take over our children when we drop the ball. And they ain't going to care the way that we care. When it comes down to our sons are looked at as being strong physically. So they're going to get abused. The girls, they get abused too. They get raped. Sons, they get raped. And then they get emotionally raped, get physically raped, and it's all fucked up. It's all downhill. So we got to keep that extra arm, you know what I'm saying? That government, that system. We got to keep that away from our children. But we got to make sure that our children is aware that they are out there. It's a big business. It's a very big business. And any chance that they can, they're going to come into your home and break it up in order for them to make $1. They got to know these things. You as a parent got to know these things. We as parents got to know these things. It's not just an easy game. It is not always hard. So we always got to be careful of what's going on in our lives when it comes down to our kids. When it comes down to our sons, I just hope that we give them everything that we could possibly give them. Strong morals, strong convictions, reasons to want to live life in and out of the box. We got to give them options. We got to give them reasons to find options on their own. There's so many things that I could be saying, want to be saying, should be saying, but these happen to be the words that are coming from a deep part of my life that care about other people. But look, check this out. I'm not the smartest person. I'm not the dumbest person. I've done some research, but there's a whole lot of research that I still need to do. Please, question everything that I say. Question everything that you're hearing. Research it on your own. And the best thing you can do is share it with other people. Share it with me. Leave a comment if you like. You know what I'm saying? But share it with other people. There's a lot of people out there who are very like-minded. Or that you will be like-minded with, or whatever that makes sense. There's a lot of people out there that's going to share your pain. It's going to know where you're coming from and are really, really willing to help you go through the process of raising yourself, your family, your children, your problems, to help you raise them to another level of positivity and productivity. You know what I'm saying? If you can't do it by yourself, then you gotta be able to to look for some help. Look for a support system. I don't care how embarrassing it might be. You know what I'm saying? It's tough love all the way around. But the most important thing is we gotta plan. We gotta plan ahead. We gotta bring our children in to a positive plan that's supposed to succeed. And we gotta take that successful seed and make sure that it grows into something as much as we possibly can. There's a lot of things that's out of our control. And we gotta know the difference. You know what I'm saying? It's like that serenity. That serenity prayer. You know what I'm saying? Give me the wisdom to do the things that I can. No, give me the strength to do the things that I can, the wisdom. Anyway, I used to know it. You know what I'm saying? Find out what that serenity prayer is. You know what I mean? It's 3 sentences to it. You know, change the things that I can change. Give me the wisdom. No, change the things that I can change. Let me understand the things that I cannot change. And let me have the wisdom to be able to know the difference between the two. It's something like that. But anyway, my name's Padre. Take care. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good morning. I'm going to leave a link to this movie in the description. Check it all the way out. If you got kids, let them watch it too. You know, it's all about decisions and choices. And it comes from the child and the parent. It goes both ways. It's a unity thing. It's a family unity. All right, take care.